From the Oklahoman newsroom, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Barry Tramel. It's all Thunder all the time, and our Thunder postgame coverage is brought to you by J. Marshall Square, Oklahoma City's only big house apartment community. Barry, all Thunder all the time, as I said. We're 2 games into this playoff series with Dallas, and obviously everybody after Game 2 is talking about Kevin Durant and all the shooting struggles. What stands out to you? What troubles you, if anything, about the performance we saw out of Durant?
Well, I mean, I think it's a case of Durant just got frustrated. I think he felt a pretty big burden. The worse the shooting got, the more he tried to shoot himself out of it. I don't think this is a carryover situation. I thought Russell Westbrook had one of the more insightful things to say, which is, you know, I've been around this guy a long time. I can guarantee you it's not going to happen again. It will happen again, not in this series, not in this playoffs. He's not going to go 7 of 33 for crying out loud for forever how long. But it was troubling that, you know, that Durant just sort of reacted to the discouragement. He reacted to the bad night by exasperating the problem, which was, to me, just trying to shoot himself. Quick shots. He acted like every time he got the ball, the shot clock was about to expire. He'd fire off quickly. Didn't really let the offense come to him as much as he usually does. He lost his playmaking. You know, he had 2 assists, but he's usually good for more than that. So, you know, it's just a terrible night. And still the Thunder, you know, lost by 1 point and 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's a pain in the butt to lose a game like that. I don't think it's going to cost them the series. I think Thunder still wins easy. Yeah,
I do too. Yeah, and I think that it is likely that Kevin Durant plays well in Game 3, well in Game 4. We may still see a little bit of signs of that shooting struggle in Game 3. I went back and looked at some of his past off nights he's had in the last 5 years. Last night, Game 2 was his 6th time he was under 30%. So he's played a ton of games in 5 years, and only 6 times has he been under that 30% mark. One of those games was a closeout game, so he didn't get a comeback game. But in the other 4 that we've seen so far, 2 of them he shot under 50%. Not as bad as he had, but not great games. But 2, he shot over 50%, including a game that he came back after a woeful performance with a 77% shooting percentage night. So he's very capable of coming back with a big game. But even if it's not this game, he's a shooter, Barry. He's a scorer. He's going to come back and score. But as you mentioned, only 2 assists, 7 turnovers, Barry. While we know he's a shooter, we also see the trend that he turns the ball over. And they're not using campaign necessarily in some of these lineups. That means Kevin Durant's got the ball in his hands. That, to me, is as troubling as anything about what we saw at a Game 2.
And it's been a season-long trend, basically. I mean, we've seen Durant's turnovers really increase, and to some serious numbers, the 6, 7, 8 turnover range.
There was a 9-game turnover.
So, you know, that is not good, and it is a case of too much ball handling from Durant. You know, he dribbles well. He handles the ball well for a guy 6'11". Doesn't mean he handles the ball well. So you know, pick his spots. You know, take his chances. But, you know, just in terms of just dribbling sort of haphazard at all time, you know, when Russell Westbrook has 6, 7, 8 turnovers, you can sort of live with it because he plays so fast.
Right.
He has the ball so much.
Right.
He's always trying to do something. Usually it's good. Sometimes it backfires. But that's not the kind of player Kevin Durant is. And when his turnovers get up in there, it leads to problems. And on a night when the Thunder was playing great defense, except for maybe the first 5 minutes and a little stretch in the 4th quarter, Dallas really didn't get any easy baskets except off of Thunder turnovers.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if the fix to some of those turnover woes is getting campaign in that lineup with Durant. Durant had 4 of his 7 turnovers in Game 2 in the 2nd quarter, and that's the time when you see some of that staggering where you don't have a backup point guard in the game, and that's where the bulk of his turnovers were, when he did have the ball in his hands more. So I think that, you know, they're going to have to look pretty seriously at that, because you don't want to give away those possessions. When you've got as good a rebounders as the Thunder does in Steven Adams and especially Enes Kanter on the offensive end, not getting a shot up off the rim is just such a lost opportunity, because it's often those guys are going to go get it and put it back in the hole. So to have turnovers, to have missed possessions where you don't even have a chance for your rebounders to go get the ball. It's deadly when you're talking about games that come down to 1 point, when you're talking about close calls. They've got to take better care of the ball, and frankly, that may mean taking it out of the hands of Kevin Durant. Hey, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny here with Barry. We're talking all Thunder this week as the Thunder are 2 games into their first-round series against the Mavericks. And Barry, we talked about Kevin Durant, the struggles that he had, but, I mean, that Game 2 loss, it was so unexpected. 38-point win in Game 1 and then a loss in Game 2. Is there any sign of bigger trouble with this team? I mean, is there any cause for concern beyond that was an aberration, they're going to get back on the winning track?
Well, I mean, yes, but it's nothing new. This has been an inconsistent team. I mean, we've seen it all year. This is a very good team. It's not a great team. They've had a very good season. They haven't had a great season. This is not a team that's played up to the standard of the Warriors or the Spurs, and that's the teams they have to beat to get to the NBA Finals. So, when you beat a Dallas by 38, you think, hey, maybe they're rounding into form.
Right.
But then you see them play the way they did last night, and you think, well, we've seen this before, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the secret sauce is. I don't know what the magic potion is, but the Thunder hasn't found it. Yeah. So what we saw last night, it was different. I mean, we haven't seen Durant go 7 of 33. We haven't seen, certain elements of the game where, Thunder's doesn't even have a quarter in which they score 25 points. I don't know that that's happened all year.
Yeah.
But we have seen inconsistent play.
Late game meltdown. Yeah.
Stagnant offense.
Right.
Mistakes on defense that cost you in critical situations. Those things we've seen all season.
Well, and you mentioned some of that. In the late game, I know that, the Thunder had a lead heading into the fourth quarter. Another fourth quarter loss after leading. That's a stat that people know all too well, just how bad the Thunder has been in terms of holding on to leads at the beginning of the fourth quarter. But it even ballooned from when they started the fourth quarter, Barry. At one point, they go up 7, and it really looks like they're about ready to take over. I mean, it looks like it's about ready to be, stranglehold time on this game, which after the way the first 3 quarters had been, just seemed like a, almost miraculous turnaround to be at that point. But then almost in the wink of an eye, there's a timeout by the Mavericks. They come out and score a couple quick baskets and get it right back down to manageable deficit. And Billy Donovan brought this up after practice, Barry. 8 of the Mavericks' last 13 possessions resulted in points in that game last night. That's not the kind of defense that wins you even a first-round game against the Mavericks.
Yeah, no, that's right. The Thunder defense had a couple of bad stretches early and then in the fourth quarter. Now, the stretch that Billy's talking about actually all occurred in 5 straight possessions. The Mavs scored on 5 straight possessions, all of them on first chance opportunities. The last 2 or 3 minutes, the Thunder defense stiffened back up and made some plays. And frankly, Dallas, a couple of their shots were tough. A couple of them got easy baskets off bad turnovers, which is not a defensive issue. But there, when the Thunder got a 7-point lead, 7 minutes left in the game, and then gave up 5 straight possessions in which Dallas got a good shot or an easy shot or an open shot, scored, got right back in the game. And in the playoffs, you can't have those kinds of letdowns, because that can be the difference in a tight game.
Yeah, definitely so. And, small things. Again, we're talking about such a, off night for a variety of guys, and the fact that they only lose this game by 1. And yet it's little things that when you think about any possession that maybe goes a different way. Durant had a possession late in the game where he missed a couple shots, and there was a long rebound on his second miss that is right around him, and he seemed to kind of make a half-hearted effort at it, and it was picked up by Wesley Matthews. He sprints to the other end, gets an easy transition basket. It's that type of thing. You got to get those 50-50 balls. If there's a rebound to grab, you got to grab it. Maybe this is a wake-up game, Barry. I mean, maybe that's what when we look back in a week or 2 weeks, maybe that's what we see this game as. I don't know.
Well, it's possible. I think.
Or are they just an up and down team, and that's where we are?
I mean, we've seen wake-up games all year.
Yeah.
When you lose at home to Minnesota, when you blow a 20-point lead at the Clippers, when you come out on national television and don't even compete with the Cavaliers. We've seen games like that all year where you think, this surely will sober them up.
Yeah.
I think this is just who they are. And the truth of the matter is, they're a very good team. They're a fun team. They're great to cheer for. We're glad we got them. Wouldn't trade them for anybody. But they're not going to beat the Spurs and the Warriors playing like this, and there's no evidence that they're going to stop playing like this.
I'm not sure some Thunder fans would say it's fun. I think maddening might be the word that some people have right now as this trend continues. Hey, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny here with Barry. Now let's get to some really serious stuff when it comes to the Thunder. That's the dance-off that happened before. Oh, my gosh.
Did I get close?
No, not even close.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're real supportive.
There's rumor you may be going to dance with or try to dance with Campaign before Game 3. Is there?
Well, I mean, I got a better chance of that than dancing with Russell Westbrook. So
maybe Charlie Villanueva looks for. Maybe he's looking for a dance partner.
Maybe so.
What do you make of all that? Is that just craziness before a serious NBA game?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is craziness. You know, I was telling the guys. You know, we've both been going out to the Women's College World Series for years.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s when it first got to town, people sort of clued into the fact that these players from Long Beach State and UCLA and Georgia and Oklahoma and everywhere, I mean, they do all kinds of shenanigans in the dugout. They dance and they chant and
they do introductions and they're high-fiving and kicking.
And we used to laugh and say, silly schoolgirls. What we came to realize is softball's a long season. It's a long, even when you're not with your college team, but in the summers and the fall they play. And they've grown up basically entertaining themselves in the drudgery between rain delays and all kinds of things. What we're seeing is just NBA players. It's a long season. They're just trying to get through the day. It becomes a ritual with, and then it becomes superstition. And it's just some fun to have along the way. And it doesn't mean anything. When Charlie Villanueva and then Justin Anderson, getting involved and trying to mess with the Thunder, all the Mavs are saying is, in fact, Justin Anderson said it. We're here, which means we're not going to give you this game. And Russell Westbrook, being Russell Westbrook's not going to sit there and let somebody cut in for crying out loud. So
Charlie Villanueva is not on Russell Westbrook's dance card.
So
this just did.
It's grand theater.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
It's incredible psychological warfare. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't help somebody get back on defense. It doesn't help anybody set better screens. It doesn't make anybody line up their feet right on shots. But it is a way to get through the season, and it's great fun on the playoff stage.
Frankly, I think it used to be that what the Thunder did with their pregame antics, I guess if you want to call it that, it was kind of rare. You didn't see as many teams sort of doing the level and the volume and the intricacies that the Thunder did. Now you see more and more teams doing it. Even the Mavericks do some things before the tip-off that, they're sort of doing choreographed stuff, if you will. But there's no doubt Russell Westbrook, Campaign take it to another level in the duration, in the intensity, in the and just you can tell that they've practiced this. It's not, you can't go out there and do what they do and not have practice. They're pretty serious about it.
As far as I'm concerned, it's Broadway stage quality. I mean, it looks to me like, Cameron Payne is, he could win a dance-off. But
Dancing with the Stars coming
next.
Let's
go.
Campaign, let's go.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook's too big of a star for that show, but Campaign would be perfect.
Wait. Von Miller's the MVP of the Super Bowl, and he's
Yeah,
I think it's okay.
Von Miller's not as big a star as Russell Westbrook. He can't walk.
Campaign could go. He might.
Campaign could be great. They got all kinds of, not to belittle Campaign, but he's sort of a B-level athlete. Dancing with the Stars, they got to explain who the stars are.
Right.
But
he could fit in.
He'd be great.
If they could run some of the tape of them from pregame, and they'd be set.
If somebody would go out on Dancing with the Stars and dance like Westbrook and Payne, America would win. They would carry the American vote. There is no doubt.
So what's the likelihood you're dancing before Game 3? Not on the court, but
at practice tomorrow?
Yeah, potentially.
It seems pretty slim. But like I told them, those two Thunder guys, they just lead me around like I got a ring through my nose. So who knows what I'll end up doing.
All right, folks, stay tuned. This could be fun. Video to come if Barry's dancing with Campaign and or Russell Westbrook. Wow. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.